Now, before we get started, I would really love it if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get the latest content from the YouTube channel, The Last Rewind. And don't be shy about leaving your comments at the bottom of the page because you are the sole reason why this channel will be successful. Thank you. Now, before we get started, I would really love it if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get the latest content from the YouTube channel, The Last Rewind. And don't be shy about leaving your comments at the bottom of the page because you are the sole reason why this channel will be successful. Thank you. All right, welcome to The Last Rewind. And before we get started and talk about this riveting conversation, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you can get future episodes of The Last Rewind on topics just like this one that we're about to talk about. Man, I tell you, I am fatigued. I'm not fatigued because it's 4 a.m. I should be asleep right now. I know you people are like, why in the world is he up at 4 a.m. recording? Look, I have trouble sleeping sometimes. And when things are on my mind, sometimes I got to speak on it so I can go to sleep easier towards the early mornings when the sun finally rises and the chickens and birds are starting to chirp. Well, this one, I have to get this one off my chest. And it's about the WNBA. Okay, I'm going to finally talk about it. I've been withholding talking about it, and I know people say, well, you got to talk about the WNBA. It's the newest story. Everyone's talking about the WNBA. But what are they talking about, though? Are they talking about the great game that was on last night with the WNBA? Are they talking about the buzzer beater? Are they talking about who's going to be a potential for the top 3 candidates for MVP for the WNBA? Who's going to be voted on the All-Star game? No one is talking about that. All I'm hearing is about this Caitlyn Clark girl and Angel Reese, and it's not in a positive view. Caitlyn Clark, as you know, standout college player. And she was the reason, let me preface my statement. She was the main reason why eyes were more glued on college women's basketball than maybe ever before. Okay? She was a standout player. And then along comes Angel Reese. Angel Reese was a good player. And she did something during the game, some antics where she, you can't see me thing to Caitlyn Clark. And in all fairness, Caitlyn Clark did it first to another player some games before that. But that put Angela Reese's name in the paper because of who she did it to. Now more people start paying attention to Angela Reese. She's a good player, no doubt. So I'm not downing her game at all. But there seems to be a misunderstanding here on why we're watching or talking about the WNBA. And it's about Caitlyn Clark. Whether good or bad, mostly bad so far, she is the reason. I know Angela Reese wants to think that it's a team effort, and in ways it is. It is. It was a team effort during the 80s when it was Magic and Bird. They weren't the only 2 players. They weren't going one-on-one against each other in the finals or just during the regular season. There was hundreds of other players that contributed to the popularity that brought forth the rise of the NBA. Then there was Michael Jordan. Who do they talk about more than Michael Jordan in the NBA in the mid-'80s and the 90s? No one. Jordan is the most popular player that has ever been seen. You can arguably say he's the most popular athlete that you've ever seen, ever. But there were other players. I mean, he didn't play by himself, did he? Of course not. So Angela Reese is correct. She is also contributing to bringing ratings to the WNBA. But let's put that in percentages, shall we? Caitlyn Clark, if I were to put it in a percentage, I would say 80 to 90%. She's the reason why people have put the eyes on the WNBA. Angela Reese is somewhere in the 0 to 10%, and along with the other players. And there's a lot of other talented WNBA players. actually more talented than Angela Reese, actually more talented than Caitlyn Clark, if you want to be fair. But in this social media age, that's what puts butts in seats, and that's what puts eyes on the screen. And Caitlyn Clark has brought her fans from the college game to the WNBA. She had a following, and it grew and it grew and it grew. Angela Reese, when she did the "You Can't See Me," because I never heard of it. I'm not even going to play like I watched the women's college game like that before. So I didn't know who Caitlyn Clark was, but maybe a few games before the antics with Angela Reese, then I found out who she was, and then I became interested to know more about it. But let's also be honest. When we talk about players who transcend sports, who transcend race, that no one cares about, because that's all I've been hearing about. It's a race war going on in the WNBA. People are siding with Caitlyn Clark because she's white. People are siding with Angela Reese because she's black. That may be true to a small degree. I'm not going to argue that that doesn't exist in social media platform. But the WNBA is like 70% black. So it's kind of hard not to cheer for your team when you're 70% of them are going to be black players, and you're going to have some white players and then the other, races that are on the team. So it's kind of hard. I'm not saying racists aren't dumb, but it's kind of hard to not cheer for your team when there's a mixture of races on one team. But as I was saying, great play in sports transcends race. Same thing with music. People didn't care about Michael Jackson. Well, he was black. He was so talented. People was like anybody, any culture, any race, listen to Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, Whitney Houston. The list goes on. Okay. Not saying it doesn't exist. It's just a tiny bit, but I don't think race is the problem here. Now I forgot what I was about to talk about. Let's see, what was that? Let me get back on topic because I didn't have a brain fart talking about race right quick, and watch, I probably done forgot completely what I was about to get on. What I was talking about was how talent can transcend race. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan are the usual people we talk about who revolutionized the NBA and made it a global phenomenon. Close your eyes, unless you're driving somewhere. If you're sitting in a chair, sitting in your toilet, or sitting in your living room, or at work, you can close your eyes. What is the first NBA play that you think of when you think of Magic Johnson? It's probably his magnificent passing, right? When you close your eyes for Larry Bird, what kind of NBA play do you usually think about? Or what usually comes to your mind first? Probably his shooting, or even his passing. He's a great outside shooter. When you close your eyes again, except for people who are driving, when Michael Jordan comes in your head, what is the first type of NBA play comes to your mind? Probably a layup package, some dunks, fadeaway jumper, things that stand out that he does well and above and beyond everyone else. Okay? Same thing with Caitlyn Clark. What's the first thing people tend to think about when they talk about Caitlyn Clark? You can close your eyes again. Probably her three-point shooting from far distance, kind of like Steph Curry, and her dribbling, perhaps. Because she does that at a level above and beyond you see more than most women's players, at least in college. And she brought that falling with her to the WNBA. You close your eyes, again with Angela Reese. What type of WNBA play, and I'm sorry, Angel Reese, when you close your eyes for Angel Reese, what type of WNBA play comes to mind that stands out above and beyond anyone else? Are you having a hard time thinking of it? Me too. Because I don't really think there is none. because we're trying to tell you that's how special Caitlyn Clark is. Because she seems like a once in a lifetime or generational type player. And there's no knock on Angel Reese. She's a great player in her own right. And she may even be better than Caitlyn Clark in her WNBA career. So I don't know that, because, sometimes we get Sam Buoys out here that end up being #1 picks and they end up being duds. And sometimes the #1 picks end up being like LeBron. We don't always know how they'll come out or turn out in later parts of their careers. So far, my money would be on Caitlyn Clark being the standout, between these two rookies. But I don't see anything that stands out about Angel Reese that would make me say, I have to go to a game and just watch her play. I have to go to a game just to see what Michael Jordan's going to do. I have to go to a game to see what Larry Bird's going to do. I have to go to a game to see what LeBron James is going to do. You get what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here saying Angel Reese is not talented. I'm sure she has her fans, but guess who is going to bring in the revenue? It's not the casual fan. It's the fan that hears it in a conversation in the lunchroom or on break, may catch a clip on it in passing and say, I heard about this WNBA game and I heard about this Caitlyn Clark girl who does stuff that most other WNBA players don't do. I think I'm going to buy these tickets and go out on a date with someone. That's what happened with the NBA. It's not casual fans that went to most of those games. Same thing with the NFL. Why do you think the NFL works so hard to try to get women to go to the games? For revenue. I'm not saying there's not women who don't follow the sport of the NFL harder than some men, but most of them are not as casual a fan as the most hardcore guy. Most of them, not all of them. And the same thing with WNBA. The people who are going to bring in the most money or are going to fill the most seats in the stadiums or arenas for that matter, it's going to be the non-casual fan, the one that just wants to get out on town and just wants to be entertained. They don't care anything about the stats. They don't know any of the players' names outside of the main star. They don't. But that's what Caitlyn Clark is going to end up doing for the league. She's going to bring casual fans to fill up the arenas for the Angel Reese games, the Daniel Taurasi games, Breanna Stewart's. That's who she's going to bring to the games, because they're going to be interested. Like, well, what about the other teams? Who's good on their teams as well? Who's the all-star on that team? This is why this is a good thing. But this is also why I have to disagree when people are saying, or Angel Reese has said, no one, people are coming to the game not to see just Caitlyn Clark. They're also coming to see me. I'm sure you have your core fans. But if that incident in college never happened, where you taunted Caitlyn Clark and you just went to the WNBA, y'all guys actually think the ratings would soar where they are right now? Be honest. Yeah. If that incident never happened and Caitlyn Clark goes to the WNBA, still becomes the all-time leader in college points for women, do you think the ratings still soar? Be honest. Right. I don't buy into this narrative also that people are watching and protecting her just because she's white. I'm sure there's a certain niche of people who only watch her because she's white and protect her on social media because she's white. And same thing with people with Angel Reese. They protect her because skin folk is kinfolk. But no, sports in this particular instance, no, I don't think it's a race thing. I think it was a race thing involved all the way back with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. But what I was saying with talent transcending sports, you you watched regardless of what color Larry Bird was. You watched regardless of what color Magic was or Michael Jordan. No one cared because that's how good they were. That's how entertaining they were. So racism was out the window for the most part. Not saying it didn't exist, but on a whole, it probably existed more back then than it does now. But no, I don't think that's the reason why they're covering Caitlyn Clark. They're covering her because she's good for business. And the WNBA players, I don't think they should kiss her butt cheeks and lick them up and down to pay homage to her. But they should be thankful because in the future, salaries are going to go up if the trend continues of revenue and ratings for TV. Angel Reese, her core fans will increase as her social media presence increases and as her game increases. Maybe the people, unfortunately, Diana Taurasi is on the tail end of her career, so she won't reap the benefits that she probably should have got at the beginning of her career, but better late than never. You know, what these players are doing for the next generation is helping them get what they should have got. Bill Russell didn't get paid what he should have got paid. Wilt Chamberlain didn't get paid what he should have got paid. Oscar Robertson, Kareem, even Magic. I think Magic is famous for signing like a 20-year Lakers contract, 25-year Lakers contract for like $1 million a year. The guy at the end of the bench today makes way more than that. Do you think it was because of sexism or racism that wasn't getting it, or was because the game exponentially increased as far as viewership over time? It's just business, nothing personal. It's WNBA, it's the same thing. If you're being subsidized by the NBA, it's kind of hard for you to make your own demands. Now, let's not get it twisted. While those ratings have soared, and while the arena has filled up more seats, it still ain't high enough to get what you guys are proposing to get. I'm just saying. If it was racism, again, wouldn't you think Diana Taurasi would have got this kind of coverage that Caitlyn's getting? Wouldn't you think Sue Bird would have got it? Wouldn't you think Breanna Stewart would have got this kind of coverage? Kelsey Plum, don't you think she would have got this kind of coverage if it was strictly about race? It's about business, nothing personal here. Not to say the owners don't have a racist bone in their body, but guess what they like more than being racist? They like that green. They like that money. If Angel Reese was bringing in that kind of attention like Caitlyn Clark, make sure and parse my words, like Caitlyn Clark, she would get that kind of coverage too. Trust me. But on to the subject with Stephen A. I don't know if y'all saw the video with Stephen A. and Monica McNutt. She pretty much castrated him on live TV for pretty much saying, which I don't have a problem with her saying, I just have a problem with her bringing it up like she was making a strong point or something. She said, Stephen A., with all due respect, I'm paraphrasing, you could have talked about the WNBA. No, let me rephrase that. You weren't talking about the WNBA 3 years ago like you are today. Stephen A. was like, oh, clutching his pearls and stuff. Oh my God. Thanks for having me on your platform, Red. Let me get to the issue of Monica McNutt. Me and Monica have been friends for 15 years. I am the first person to give her a cigarette, and I also nursed her baby goat back to health after it was hit by a Mack truck. She made a solemn promise to name her firstborn child Stephen A. McNutt Sr. to the third power. So I can't understand how Monica McNutt could come on First Take in the morning, with Stephen A. Smith and say, I don't talk about the WNBA like I talk about it today. I talk about it every day. I talk about it in my sleep. I talk about it on the toilet. I talk about it during sex. Sex. So I can't understand where these fallacies have come from. And that's all I have to say about that. You better hope she has a job next week on First Take. That's all I have to say. I can't believe you just said that. After I put you on, no one would have ever knew who you were until I put you on. Now, she didn't lie. Stephen A. Smith did talk about the WNBA, but not at the same rate that he's talking about today. But here's why I said that was pointless to say that. Nobody was talking about it because it wasn't good for business. ESPN, which is now owned by Disney, they're about making viewership go up. They're about making the ratings go up. There's a reason why they don't talk about at the top of the hour Formula One racing or NASCAR racing or cricket sports. There's a reason for that. Or soccer, because it doesn't draw the biggest interest from the American consumer. There's a reason why they talk about as much people hate it. This is the reason why they're called that. America's Team Dallas. It's not just because most people like Dallas. It's because even the people who hate them want to hear about them. They want to hear about their downfall. And they bring in the ratings. WNBA was not bringing the ratings in. That's why they didn't talk about you. That's why Stephen A. wasn't talking about you. Had nothing to do with because you're women, because nobody was watching you. They would talk about Venus Williams. When Ronda Rousey was at the helm of the UFC champion for women's sports, they talked about her. She was a media darling until she lost and got her brains beaten in. Has nothing to do with because you're women. It was because you're not bringing in ratings. Did they say that for Oscar Robertson and Kareem back in the day when they used to have the championship, the finals on tape delay, which means they played the game was already settled, and then they showed it on national TV a few hours later at night? Was it because of sexism or racism? Was it because no one was watching? If that's the case, what changed? Magic didn't change colors. Magic was always black. Dominique Wilkins was always black. Michael Jordan was always black. They watched because they were entertaining. They brought ratings in. And hopefully, Caitlyn Clark will break out of whatever funk she is. She'll get out of this rookie wall that she's hitting very early. You better hope she progresses and becomes the player everyone hopes she's supposed to become, a generational player. You better hope. Because if it doesn't happen, those ratings are going to drop back down. And you're going to be playing somewhere in Russia with Brittany Griner again. Hopefully, don't forget that you got a vape cartridge in your backpack and get arrested. Let's hope that doesn't happen. These WNBA players, the women, should be pulling together. I don't think they should be kissing up behind. But I do think they should take on the challenge of bringing all these women together for the betterment of the company. At the same time, I don't agree that we should roll out the red carpet for Caitlyn Clark and just not foul her and protect her at all. You know, her teammates should be helping her, but I don't think players should just treat her like, you know, she should be sleeping on a bed of roses every night. Play her competitively, but don't kill her. You know, Angel Reese, she got clothesline the other night and she got up from it, clapped, and continued playing. I give her props for that. That's the same thing Caitlyn Clark's going to have to do. She's going to just have to get through it. I'm sorry. If she gets fouled in the play of a game, fine. It's just the one from, what is her name? Kennedy Carter, where it was not within a game foul. It was just she saw her down the hall and said, "Hey, you owe me money." Pushed her over, pretty much. That's out of bounds. That I don't agree with. Jordan had to go through this too. Jordan had to go through a freeze out, allegedly, when he was a rookie. Jordan had to go through the Detroit Pistons and get beat up left and right. And he came out bright on the other side, won 6 championships, and the rest is history. Caitlyn Clark is going to have to take her lumps too. Because, I mean, she's not the only player that goes through rough fouls. That's just part of the play of the WNBA, unless they start changing the rules because of her. And that has also happened in the NBA too. As you see today, if you even drop an eyelash on a player's skin, it's a foul. So maybe that will change. But for now, she's got to take her lumps. So I don't agree with making the game easier for her. But for the people who are taking cheap shots at her, cut it out. You're hurting not just her. If she gets hurt for the rest of the season or gets severely hurt for the rest of her career, it's going to hurt you in the end. Be honest. Who are the people actually coming to see? You know the answer if you're being honest. I'll leave you with that. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before I get out of here. And I'm going to produce some more shows after I wake up in the morning. Again, it is like 4 something in the morning and I am tired. I probably shouldn't have done this show, but I felt like I had to get it off my chest so I could go to sleep tonight because I was going to be huffing and puffing and probably going to be tossing and turning. But I did it for you guys so you have something to watch. So I will see you on the next show for The Last Rewind. Y'all have a good night, good day, wherever time it is when you watch this. Peace.